Hi, I'm JC Pohl. I'm on the road here with Brittany Neese. Brittany is actually a licensed marriage and family therapy supervisor. So she's done a lot of work around marriage and family therapy. And as hopefully you know, I don't know if you know, but I'm a marriage and family therapist as well. She's actually my supervisor. So we're kind of taking you behind the scenes a little bit here in this video. I meet with her once a week to get advice on my caseload, the clients in my private practice, as well as the work that I'm doing in schools. And one of the things that I've realized since getting my license is that school culture work isn't that different from family work.
Right.
And as therapists, we always kind of joke about, the mom or the dad that drops their teenager off in therapy and they want us to kind of fix their teenager. But you and I know it's really about the family system. And that if we could have mom and dad and brother and sister actually in the session as well, how much that would help. So tell us just a little bit about, for the audience that might be listening that doesn't know a lot about family therapy, just give me the Cliff Notes version on what is family therapy? What is this systems approach that therapists use?
Sure. So really thinking about a systems perspective means that what one person does or even what one person needs affects everyone else within that system. So a lot of times if we have significant changes within one person, it affects everyone else. So we really look at this from a perspective of how can we help communication be better around everyone in that system? How can we look at needs and if those needs are being met, especially when those needs are different, because a lot of times within families, there are going to be a lot of different needs. And so we have to look at how all these moving parts work together to be most effective.
Yeah, when we see behavior issues, obviously most people watching this are educators, so most of them are working with teenagers since they're connected with Teen Truth. But when we see a behavior issue with a teenager, when we see something kind of coming out on campus or coming out in their life, what you're saying is that it might actually be other things within the system that could be causing that. Absolutely. It's not just them alone.
Right.
They don't live in a vacuum.
Yes.
And so what a family therapist does is really try to figure out what are those other pieces and how can we drive communication, relationship, how can we get those pieces connected better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so now kind of taking that to the next step, one of the things that, like I was saying, I've really realized in our work together is that the school culture work that we do is so much just like that. When you walk on a campus that doesn't have a great school culture, when you walk on a campus where maybe the teachers are upset or the administration's not that strong, it's these different pieces that aren't really playing well together. And when I look at those pieces, I kind of see administration, I see teachers, I see students, and I see parents. So we kind of have these four pieces of the puzzle. So give me some insight on that. What would you say as a therapist, if a school is having issues or different things are kind of cropping up on campus, how could you bring a systems perspective approach to that?
Yeah, well, and it's a really important way of addressing your school community because you're right, you have all these moving parts that often don't communicate with each other.
Right.
So that kind of starts, the first thing is to think about, what are some ways that we can get parents more involved, that we can give children more of a platform to be able to talk about kind of what they're needing, what they're not getting at home versus what they might not be getting within their school system or environment. It also looks at really kind of going into just into more detail around, what's really important to this school. How socially do you want the students to be treating each other? Mm-hmm. Because that also starts on a systems level in terms of staff, and relationship there. How do you want the staff to be treating each other? How do you want those communications to take place? Mm-hmm. And really knowing that we can kind of approach that from all different avenues.
Yeah, so I want to push you a little bit here. So, I think you're doing a great job kind of explaining the situation. So as a therapist, say I was a principal and I'm coming to you and that piece of the puzzle is off. The staff are all upset. What's something that I should be doing? You mentioned driving communication, but what's a technique? What's something that I can do to help people on campus maybe see that issue and help me get it fixed?
Right. Well, one of the ways that we work best with other people is when we're trying to help one another. We see this a lot within even our country and national disasters or just, times when there is maybe crisis. How beautiful it is when we can all come together. So taking that kind of concept You want to be asking, staff, students, administrators, everyone, what is it that they really enjoy about the school culture currently? What is it that really feels like it's a block for them? To be able to kind of look at what are some common themes we have here that maybe we're missing, those points. We often don't necessarily, we think maybe we're giving these people the chance to give feedback, but a lot of times, that's not either effective or we're not getting enough information. So being able to have different activities where there can be more interaction between these different groups, kind of trying to bring them together, but also asking those questions about what do they need that they're not getting. And what are we doing that's working really well, to be able to really start to look at from those different levels. How can we bring everyone together to be able to help one another?
Yeah, like what you're saying. It's like I hear a few things. It's kind of getting them in an environment where they can have conversations.
Yeah.
I'm shocked when I speak at conferences a lot, and I'll ask them. I'll say, raise your hand if you do leadership summits here, and like 2 people will raise their hand out of like 50 of them. And so a lot of schools, like, I'm just wondering, like, it sounds like there could be a lot of value in just pulling kids together for like some sort of summit, pulling educators together for a summit, pulling them all together into a summit, and like letting them just discuss and process. And that way, as an administrator, the administrator can maybe take the key information and say, hey, these are the needs of the people on campus. This is what's going on. Now I need to figure out how to solve that need.
Right.
And what I hear you saying is that when we solve the need, well, then the problem starts going down.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe think about that. When you're looking at your school culture, there's different pieces of the puzzle kind of coming together, but how can you help facilitate conversation between those pieces? How can you hear that conversation and see that conversation and then be able to pull away the needs of those people and meet their needs? And if you want help with that, that's what we do. I'm happy to connect with Brittany. She can offer any kind of advice. At Teen Truth, we actually do relational needs workshops. We do leadership summits. We do all kinds of like staff development work where we can hopefully come in and have these conversations so we can flush out this information so then you can hopefully solve whatever issues are affecting your school culture. But if you want more information, you can find us at teentruth.net. You can also connect with us on social media, on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we're here to just offer you any support that we can. So hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for your time.